All right, let's talk about Ethereum staking. But, we're not going to do the usual dry, technical deep dive. Instead, we're going to start with a little joke, one that honestly tells you almost everything you need to know about the real experience. Okay, you ready for this? So, why did the Ethereum validator start a meditation group? And look, your first thought might be, well, yeah, securing a network worth billions of dollars sounds pretty stressful. And you're not wrong, but that's not the punchline. Because they realized proof of stake really means proof of patience. And there you have it. But seriously, this isn't just a throwaway line. It's actually a pretty deep insight into what it really feels like to become a validator on the Ethereum network. So yeah, let's unpack that punchline. Because the reason that joke works, the reason it gets a knowing nod from anyone who's been through the process, is because it hits on a fundamental truth about committing your 32 ETH. It's all about a very, very real waiting game. And that gets us to this core idea, proof of patience. Now, you're not going to find that term in any official Ethereum white paper, okay? But it is the absolute perfect way to describe the reality of the wait that every single new validator has to go through. The official technical term for this whole thing is the activation queue. Basically, it's the formal line you get put into after you've staked your ETH, but before you can actually start doing the work of a validator and, earning rewards. Think of it like you've bought your ticket for a ride, but now you're stuck in that long, winding line before you can even get on. And this slide really nails the difference. On one hand, you've got proof of stake. That's the official system, the tech. But on the other, you have proof of patience. That's the human side of it, the actual experience of living with that system. It's literally theory versus reality. And we are not talking about a short wait here. Depending on how many people are trying to stake at once, this activation queue can stretch on for weeks, or sometimes even months. So yeah, that whole meditation group idea from our joke suddenly starts to make a lot more sense, doesn't it? But here's the thing. This waiting period, it's just one piece of a much bigger commitment. Being a validator is about so much more than just being patient in a queue. We should probably take a look at the whole picture. The whole journey is a lot. First, you've got the technical setup, which is not trivial. You need to know what you're doing. Then, of course, you have to navigate that activation queue we've been talking about. And all the while, you're dealing with the psychological weight of having a really significant amount of money, 32 ETH, completely locked up. It takes a combination of tech skills and, frankly, some serious mental fortitude. To put all this waiting into a perspective we can all understand, I love this quote. "My ETH transfer once took longer than my Amazon delivery." It's funny, right? But it perfectly captures that feeling of time slowing down when you're dealing with crypto. Patience really is the name of the game. Okay, so knowing all this, how can you be a bit more strategic about it? If you're considering staking, how do you play it smart instead of just, playing the waiting game blindly? I've got two huge tips for you. First, just do your homework. Go to a site like beaconshaw.in and check the current wait times for the activation queue. Go in with your eyes open. And second, if the idea of locking up 32 ETH makes you nervous, you should definitely look into liquid staking. It lets you get involved with smaller amounts and gives you a token back that you can use, so your assets aren't totally frozen. It's way more flexible. So to wrap things up, I want to turn this whole idea of waiting back around to you. Because whether you're a validator or not, I guarantee that if you've been in crypto long enough, you've had your own proof of patience moment. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is the longest you have ever had to wait for a crypto transaction to go through? We've all been there, right? Just staring at the screen, hitting refresh. It's kind of a universal experience in this space. And that brings us right back to where we started. That simple joke about a meditating validator, it does more than just make you chuckle. It actually opens up a really important conversation about a complex part of how Ethereum works. And it just goes to show you, the best crypto humor is the kind that actually teaches you something while it's making you laugh. Thanks for tuning in.